Everyone knows the names of Andersen and Charles Perrault. All Russian schoolchildren are familiar with Pushkin's fairy tales. However, few people are interested in the names of who make folk tales accessible to the reader. Among others, Russian fairy tale folklore for posterity was preserved by Alexander Nikolaevich Афанасьев. During his life, he collected and published 600 fairy tales, 3 times more than the brothers Grimm.
Афанасьев was born on 7th of December 1826 in the country town of Boguchar, Voronezh province, in the family of a petty judicial official. A memorial zone dedicated to the famous folklorist Афанасьев has been created in the city park of Boguchar, where stones with commemorative plaques have been erected in their honor. In December 1828, his father, Николаевич, who served in recent years in the Bogucharsky Zemstvo court, received a new appointment, and the family moved to the city of Bobrov, where the future scientist spent his childhood and youth. Афанасьев learned to read and write at home, and in 1837, 11 years old Alexandr was taken by his father to Voronezh and assigned to a gymnasium. In 1996, a memorial plaque made of grey granite according to the project of Kojevnikov was opened on the facade of house number 102 on 2nd 130th Street, on which it's written. The writer and Nikolai Kostomarov studied here in the provincial gymnasium in 1831 to 1833, Ivanovich. In 1837 to 1844, folklorist Афанасьев Alexander Nikolaevich. After graduating from the gymnasium, Alexander Афанасьев entered the faculty of law in Moscow. In the last years of his studies at the university, Афанасьев became more and more interested in folklore. This happens under the influence of one of the teachers, Baslayev, who is considered the main representative of the mythological school in Russia. Grandfather Brownie, Witchcraft in Russia, Vedun and Witch, that's what Афанасьев writes about with the greatest interest.
Published texts of Russian folk tales were not similar to those that actually exist among the people. They were translated from the language of the heart into the language of the living room. And in the end, they lost their beingness and sometimes even their meaning. Perhaps this was done to give these texts a more cultural look so as not to alienate readers from their native language and culture of the peoples with rudiments and dialects.
Афанасьев undertook to publish genuine folk text. The Russian Geographical Society, of which he was a member, gave him about 200 texts from its own archive. He also had his notes. During his visit to his homeland, Афанасьев became close to the Ftorov cycle that existed at that time in Voronezh. In the person of Ftorov and other members of his cycle, among whom was the poet Nikitin, Alexander Nikolaevich found ardent propagandists from collecting and studying oracle poetic creativity. They wrote down fairy tales and legends for Афанасьев, the best of which he later placed in his collection. In 1855, Афанасьев published the first collection of folk tales.
For a long time, fairy tales were considered literature purely for children. But Афанасьев didn't think so, believing the fairy tale to be a reflection of the worldview of the people at a certain period.